That's what I'm saying. You know, obedience is better than sacrifice. All right. Now we're gonna go to First Esdras, chapter 2.
Oh.
First Esdras in the Apocrypha. Come on, you gotta get one, brother Gang. Or download it on your phone. You can download it on your phone too. First Esdras chapter 2. So and I'm going to these other parts, you know, obviously for witnesses, you know, and to emphasize the importance of keeping, you know, these important feast days. But given, again, you know, during certain times, it wasn't the easiest for the Hebrews to keep the feast days. There was a lot of obstacles Satan was putting up. So, but you know, again, obedience is better than sacrifice. And even though it was difficult, they still was like, man, we got to do this. We got to find a way. We got to do it, you know, and whatnot. So, First Esdras chapter 2. Verse 1 and on down. In the first year of Cyrus, king of the Persians, that the word of Yah might be accomplished, that he had promised by the mouth of Jeremiah. Jeremiah. Okay. Yeah, it might be Jeremiah. Yah raised up the spirit of Cyrus, the king of the Persians, and he made proclamations through all his kingdom, and also by writing, saying, Thus said Cyrus, king of Persians, the Yah of Israel, the Most High, Yah, hath made me king of the whole world.
Woo! Think about that, man. He can praise to Yah. A Gentile king,
That's
man.
right. He know what Yah did for
He
Nebuchadnezzar, you know.
Nebuchadnezzar do too.
When he got, you know, when Yah put the wings on him, had him eating, you know, out the grass. When he came back, he was like, my bad, Yah, my bad. And y'all don't know about Nebuchadnezzar. He was the same situation as Cyrus. Yah put him as the king of the world, basically, and he got a little big-headed, and Yah punished him, and, you know, he was like a wild. Yeah, he was like a dog, you know. He turned him into like a beast, and, you know, he humbled down and to Yah at the end of the later part. Okay, saying, Thus said Yah, king of the Persians, verse 4, and commanded me to build him an house at Jerusalem, in Jerusalem. If therefore there be any of you that are of his people, so there's like, you know, expect that coming, you know, soon too. They don't be making just like in Isaiah, I think Isaiah 50 or Isaiah 60. See what they doing? They calling, they trying to get all the Jews. Hey, if you a Jew, we got something special for you, you know, in the future. All the Jews, get on this boat. Take the gold, the diamonds. This is yours. That's coming. That's coming. My point. That's prophecy. That's prophecy. If you are a Jew, that's coming. That's coming. And Cyrus did it too. That's what Cyrus doing, you know. And commanded me to build him a house at Jerusalem in Jewry. If therefore there be any of you that are of his people, let Yah, even his Yah, be with him, and let him go to Jerusalem that is in Judah, and build the house of Yah of Israel, for he is Yah that dwelleth in Jerusalem. So Cyrus is making, you know, just a side note, Cyrus is making a clear understanding to everybody. This is first and foremost the power of Israel, you know, his chosen people. These are his, you know, the order, you know, it's Israel, and everything else nation-wise fall under Israel. So first he talks to Israel, and then Israel goes out to, you know, minister to everybody else. Just, you know. Verse 6. Whosoever then dwell in this place about, let them help him. Those I say that are his neighbors, with gold and with silver, with gifts, with horses and with cattle, and other things which have been set forth by vow for the temple of Yah at Jerusalem. And this is another thing too. This is prior to the accomplishment of the curse. Just like in Deuteronomy 28, it said, "Thou will hate thy brother, the mother will hate the child, etc., etc." Once Yah lifts the curses, we're gonna go back to this because you can't get a bunch of Israelites nowadays. Hey man, we need some gold. You got the horses. You bring the potato salad. Meet us there at 12. You gonna be the only one. You might not even be there at 12, man. I ain't giving them no money. So, but that's the curses of the hate for one another. That's the curse. Okay. But when the curse leaves, it's gonna go back to the brotherly love. With gifts, with horses, and with cattle, and other things, which have been set forth by vow for the temple of Yah at Jerusalem. Then the chief of the families of Judah and of the tribe of Benjamin stood up, the priests also, the Levites, and also they whose mind Yah had moved to go up and to build an house for Yah at Jerusalem. And they that dwelt round about them and helped them, so like fellow the strangers that laid round about them, just like Abraham's manservants, maidservants, and whatnot. And they that dwelt round about them and helped them in all things with silver and with gold, with horses and cattle, and with very many free gifts of a great number, whose mind were stirred up thereto. So, again in the last day, y'all gonna, put things in people's minds. Hey, give them $5,000. Hey, give them your gold Rolex. That's just, they just gonna be hearing voices. Give them your car keys. All that's.
Hey, well, when it's gonna happen, I'm waiting for it now.
You and me both. I'm sure everybody else too. Them voices. You talking about people be hearing voices.
Here you go, Ron. Here's an envelope. Here you go.
There you go.
Y'all told me to give this to you.
This a random person.
Y'all told me to give this to you.
He wakes me up at 3 a.m. each morning, and tell me to do this, Okay, stirred up them. King Cyrus also brought forth the holy vessels, which Nebuchadnezzar, had carried away from Jerusalem. Because, again, when Nebuchadnezzar got back right with Yah used them to put a whooping on Jerusalem, Y'all get out of here, man, So, that's interesting. Which Nebuchadnezzar had carried away from Jerusalem and had set up in his temple of idols. Now when Cyrus, king of the Persians, had brought them forth, he delivered them to the Mithrites, his treasures, and by him they were delivered to Sanabeshers, the governors of Judah. And this was the number of them: 1,000 golden cups, 1,000 silver censers. I'll skip on down a little bit because they just giving the riches to help build the temple. I'll skip down to 16. But in the time of Artaxerxes, king, some of these are Greek names. They got very long, unique names. King of the Persians. Belimus and Metrites and the Tebelis and the Rathamus and the Beldemus and Similis and Sanctuary with others, and where is commission with them, dwelling in Samaria, and their places, wrote unto him against them that dwelt in Judah and Jerusalem these letters following: to King Artaxerxes, our Lord, thy servant Rathamus, and story writer, and Similius, the scribe, and the rest of their council, and the judges that are in Syria, and in Phoenix, Phoenicia. Be it now known to the Lord the King that the Jews that are come up from you to us, being come into Jerusalem, that rebellious and wicked city, do build the marketplaces and repair the walls of it, and do lay the foundation of the temple. Now, if this city and the walls thereof be made up again, they will not only refuse to give tribute, but also rebel against kings. And you see why, why it's so hard for, it's such opposition for Israel to come together, the real Israelites to come together, because they understand, once Zion come together, they'll be like, I don't need you. You need me. I don't need your food stamps. I don't need your government assistance. You know what I'm saying? I don't need you.
Y'all right there around them.
That's what I'm saying.
Need for nothing,
and you see how they're panicking. They stop paying taxes. They ain't paying no parking tickets. They don't pay parking tickets a lot nowadays anyway. But it's gonna get worse. Yeah, Philadelphia. That's a place, man. I don't know why people live in that hell, but they do. That's their choice. They have a parking sign with like 20 different things in the parking. You got to be really careful where you park. And people just get the ticket. Oh man, 5 tickets, 20 tickets, 30 tickets, and then they come out with a boot on their car. And then and now the thing about $2,000-3,000. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got that type of money. You know what I'm saying? And So man, that's crazy. I would never live in, never live in a place like that. Verse 19. Now, if this city and the walls thereof be made up again, they will not only refuse to give tribute, but also rebel against the kings. And for as much as the things pertaining to the temple are now in hand, we think it meant not to neglect such a matter. So, this is like a national security matter that they're bringing up. And it's the same thing to the same day. When Zion get together, the cops come, FBI is getting called, like, hey, something's going on. I think they know, that's the truth, There's a lot of Hebrew Israelites on the FBI watch list, so.
How you doing? I want to watch this. I know. Been on the watch list. You still watch me now.
Verse 22. And thou shalt find in the Chronicles what is written concerning these things, and shalt understand that city was rebellious, troubling both kings and cities. That's why Psalms 83, let us build a tumult against them and wipe the name of Zion out. Because, when Zion get into power, it's trouble for the other nations. They don't want Zion back in power. And that the Jews were rebellious and raised always wars therein, for the which cause even this city was made desolate. Wherefore now we do declare unto thee, O not Yah, O Lord. They're talking to the king, Artaxerxes. That's where arthritis probably came from. The king, that if this city be built again, and the walls thereof set up anew, thou shalt from henceforth have no passage in Phoenicia. Then the king wrote back again to Rathamus, the story writer, to Bethamus, and to Silamus, the scribe, and to the rest that were in commission, and dwellers in Samaria and Syria, and Phoenicia, according to this manner I have read the epistle which ye have sent unto me. Therefore I command to make diligent search, and it hath been found That's it. I think that was wrong. That might have been a wrong chapter, but it was a good read though. All right, it was a good read.
Yes.
All right, chapter 5.
Same book?
Yeah, chapter 5. But you see the main point, how, when Zion went to come after they're in a certain type of bondage situation, when they're coming out to go worship Yah, the issues immediately, they trying to find out ways to put a stumbling block to refrain them from keeping the feast days. Verse 1 to 3. Chapter 5, verse 1 through 3. After this were the principal men of the families chosen according to their tributes, to their tribes, to go up with their wives and sons and daughters, with their manservants and their maidservants and their cattle. And Darius sent with them 1,000 horsemen till they had brought them back to Jerusalem safely, and with musical instruments, turbans, and flutes. So again, y'all feast days, this ain't no, cooking some lamb and, okay, see y'all not. Where the flutes at? Where the drums at? It's a party. It's a lively party. You just had a family reunion barbecue. Turn up the music. And whatnot. It's lively. It's not dull. You can imagine what they're doing in the kingdom right now, celebrating the Feast of Tabernacles. Might go on the drums. They playing. The saxophone. If James Brown happened to be for some reason, I don't believe so, but if he happened to be, in the kingdom, it's a lot of, I'm talking about the musical points, you know what I'm saying?
That horse, that's a nasty horse.
Hit it.
That trombone.
That's what I'm saying. These are the feast days. They're lively. They're not dull. That's my point. That's my point. And that's the worldly skill of it, The angel outdo that, all day.
Boy, come on.
Man, y'all playing around acting like James Brown. It's lively. That's my point. It's lively. It ain't dull. You know what I'm saying? Just like we was talking about the trees, the gardens, and they lighting up the trees, It's lively. It's not dull. Because a lot of people think about the Bible, oh man, it's so dull. They just think, they just cutting off sacrificing some cow and that's just that. And nah, man, it was much more than that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And having fun. That's why y'all say do it in joy. Don't think y'all gonna say do it in joy and just make it boring. You're gonna make it fun.
That's right.
Okay. Verse 2, and Darius sent with them, verse 3, and all their brethren played, and he made them go up together with them. Now go down to verse 41 to 53. 41 to 53. Same chapter, 41 to 53. Now in between, this is the back story of their trial and tribulations getting to this point. Like I kept telling y'all that it wasn't easy to worship Yah. They was putting up stumbling blocks. All right, so 41 to 53. So of Israel, from them of 12 years old and upward, they were all in the number 40,000, besides manservants and women servants, 2,360. Their manservants and handmaids were 7,000. Their 147. The singing man and the singing women, 245. Again, I'm not saying Aretha Franklin's lifestyle character. I'm talking about her voice. Imagine 100 Aretha Franklins. That 50 Mariah Careys. That place. Who a good Marvin Gaye's, 20 Marvin Gaye's, Luther Vandross. The voice wise, you talking about some good sounding stuff. All right. 43. 435 camels, 7,030 and 66 horses, 245 mules, 5,525 beasts used the yoke, and certain of the chief of the families, when they came to the temple of Yah that is in Jerusalem, vowed to set up the house again in his own place according to their ability. And look at that, that's a big thing right there, ability. Y'all only got 2 pennies, bro. Buy $2, buy 2 pennies worth of supplies, and if it's a handful of toothpicks, to your ability, to your ability, it's the point of obedience. Verse 45, and to give into the holy treasure of works 1,000 pounds of gold, 5,000 of silver, and 100 priestly vestments. And look at this, how rich Zion was. 1,000 pounds of gold. I mean, that's tremendous amount of money. 500 pounds of silver. This is a lot of money. So my point going to the blessing, Zion was tremendously blessed. I mean, you can make a car out of 1,000 pounds of gold. It's a lot. I mean, a real working car. Okay, and 46. And so dwelt the priests and the Levites and the people in Jerusalem and in the country, the singers also, and the porters, and all Israel in the villages. But when the 7th month was at hand, Feast of Tabernacle, when the children of Israel were every man in his own place, they came all together with one consent into the open place of the first gate, which is towards the east. Then stood up Yahusha, another Yahusha. I don't know which particular one this was, but Joshua. Yeah, but I'm saying I don't think it was the one after Moses.
No.
Yeah, I think it's a different, same name, is different. Yeah.
It wasn't the one after Moses.
Then stood up Yahusha, the priest at that time, the son of Joseph, and his brother Ren the priest, and Zorobabel, the sons of Shealtiel, and his brethren, and made ready the altar of Yah of Israel to offer burnt sacrifices upon it, according as it is expressly commanded in the book of Moses, the man of Yah. I'll read that again too. To offer burnt sacrifices up upon it, according as it is expressly, meaning like, you get the point. We went over this over and over and over and over and over. Commanded in the book of Moses, the man of Yah. And there were gathered unto them out of the other nations of the land, and they erected the altar upon his own place, because all the nations of the land were at enmity with them and oppressed them. Again, I was stressing the point that Zion was doing this in the time of being oppressed by other nations. They still did Yah will with obstacles in play. And they also is laziness in this modern day and age. No, Satan won't, come to you and put a gun to your head and tell you don't keep the feast day. He just give you a bag of popcorn and Sunday football. Hey man, you really trying to miss the game? You really ain't trying to go get your hair done? You know what I'm saying? The slothfulness, you know what I'm saying? And that's even where it would be better for somebody to put a gun to your head and say don't keep the feast days, to just be slothful. Man, you just lazy, man. That's all right. enmity with them and oppressed them, and they offered sacrifices according to the time, i.e. the feast days, and burnt offerings to Yah, both morning and evening. It's going to be to 53. Also they held the Feast of Tabernacles, as it is commanded in the law, and offered sacrifices daily. And it goes back to, each day, man, it's about 20, 30 animals being sacrificed every day for 7 days, as we meet. And after that, the continual obligations and the sacrifices of the Shabbat. Brother Ron's specialty. And of the new moons, and of all holy Kadesh feast days, and all they that had made any vow to Yah to offer sacrifices to Yah from the first day of the 7th month. And that is a special time to, to really get your prayer in if you're really trying to, work something out with Yah. These were unique times. Hey, you ain't hear me all year, Yah. Well, I'm here on your feast day. You know what I'm saying? It's from Yah, the first 7 months. Although the temple of Yah was not yet built, they still doing it. All right, and I'll just go one more. I think I'll go First Maccabees 10. First Maccabees will be the last one. First Maccabees chapter 10. You see, these are all different time frames. The Exodus is not the same as the book of Maccabees. These are years and years apart. That's what I'm saying. Then you got it going all the way back to Abraham. And then you got it going back to Egypt. And it's always, hey, do this. Respect the feast days.
Remember it said it was in the heavenly tablets first.
Yeah.
It was already written on the Sharines first.
So they was doing that. And when it came to earth, it was Abraham. First Maccabees chapter 10, 1 to 50. Verse 1 to 50. So these are important things, And again, this is not boring things, you know what I'm saying? Not everybody, sometimes some people can do it, the best, and some people, do it they just do it, you know what I'm saying? They get their little, they toothpicks and, and they do their thing, and then some people, they written out a Coliseum to do it, But the point is to do it. All right, First Maccabees chapter 2. All right, I thought this was very interesting. Y'all should find some of this very funny. But the point 2. First Maccabees 10, 1 to 50. All right. In the 160th year, Alexandria, the son of Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, these names, these Greek names, but they got Greek names, went up and took Ptolemais, for the people had received, and that's who married Cleopatra, the guy with the PTO name. That was Cleopatra. Because Alexander, they was about to go Egypt and just kill everybody. And he was like, go ahead, Cleopatra, peace, you know what I'm saying? So, and whatnot. For the people had received him by means whereof he reigned there. Now when King Demetrius heard thereof, he gathered together an exceeding great host, and went forth against him to fight. Moreover, Demetrius sent letters unto Jonathan with loving words, so as he magnified himself. And Jonathan was an Israelite, and you'll see about that in a little why that comes into play a bit more later on. Moreover, Demetrius sent letters unto Jonathan with loving words, so as he magnified him. For said he, let us first make peace with him before he join with Alexander the Great against us. So this is why, you know, they trying to make a peace offering between the Hebrews, so they won't join forces. Because you got to remember, anything the Hebrews touch, it is blessed. You know, it's just, you want to win the war, put a Hebrew in there. You know what I'm saying? Else, still to this day, you know, you want to win the game, Hebrew in there. You know, put Mike in there. You know, Pippin. You know, now you know, etc. etc. You know what I'm saying? Else he will remember all the evils that we have done against him and against his brethren and his people. So Demetrius, they was very hard. They like hard taskmasters, like the Egyptians were on Zion. They're very hard taskmasters, and they're trying to, you know, the enemy of my friend is my friend, you know, type stuff, before they join forces with somebody else. But it's going to play into the tabernacle as we read on. Wherefore he gave him authority. So he coming to Jonathan like, hey, I got something for you, Jonathan. This is what Demetrius is trying to offer, trying to win favor with Jonathan, the Jews. Wherefore he offered him authority to gather together an host and to provide weapons, and he might aid him in battle. See that little thing, you know? I said, I might help you in battle. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's how the devil do, boy. No, I said, I might. I might pay your car note. You know what I'm saying? I might. Alright. That he might aid him in battle. He commanded also that the hostage that were in the towers should be delivered him. Then came Jonathan to Jerusalem and read the letters in the audience of the people and of them that were in the tower, who were sore afraid when they heard that the king had given him authority to gather together in host. Whereupon they of the tower delivered their hostages unto Jonathan, and he delivered them unto their parents. This done, Jonathan settled himself in Jerusalem and began to build and repair the city. So, you know, they worked something out. You know, at that point in time, that agreement was working out. And he commanded the workmen to build the walls and the Mount Zion round about with a square stones for fortification, and they did so. Fortification. And they did so. Then the strangers that were in the fortresses with backside had built, fled away, in so much as every man left his place and went into his own country. Only at Beth-el, certain of those that had forsaken the law and the commandments remained still, for it was their place of refuge. Now, when the king Alexander had heard what promise Demetrius had sent unto Jonathan, when also it was told him of the battles and noble acts which he had and his brethren had done, meaning what the Hebrew Israelites have done in battle, and of the pains that they had endured. So now a bidding war started. First it was Demetrius, and now it's Alexander, who is about to say, hey, I got something for you. Let me sweeten the deal. Come join me. But it's all going to work into the tabernacle. He said, shall we find such another man? Now therefore we will make him our friend and confederate. Upon this he wrote a letter and sent it unto him according to these words, saying, King Alexander to his brother Jonathan sendeth greetings. We have heard of thee, that thou art a man of great power, and meet to be our friend. Wherefore now this day we ordain thee to be the high priest of thy nation, and to be called the king's friend. And therewithal he sent him a purple robe and a crown of gold, and required thee to take our part. and to keep friendship with us. So in the 7th month of the 160th year of the feast of the tabernacle, Jonathan put on the holy robe and gathered together forces and provided much armor. So look how y'all work with the faithful. So right now they're in battle time, but because of their renown in battle, and everybody want them to be a part of that. Demetrius want them to be a part of them, and Alexander want them to be a part of his camp. Now, right before the tabernacle, Jonathan was probably, man, I ain't got no robe, man. I'm going in a busted, man. I can't be doing, the tabernacle. I got holes in my clothes, my garments, and just FedEx, Roman FedEx. Hey, man, the king got you something here. Right before the tabernacle. Right, and it, because it was a bidding war, it was super luxurious. You know what I'm saying? They say, man, I think they got something else. What's that? A crime? What? You know what I'm saying? Right before the tabernacle. Right before the tabernacle.
Right on time.
Right on time. That's my point.
Right on time.
Right on time. Because you got to finish. Because they just got to finish some hardship. They wasn't at full strength yet. So in the 7th month of the 160th year of the Feast of Tabernacle, Jonathan put on the holy robe and gathered together forces and provided much armor. Whereof when Demetrius heard, so Demetrius is hearing, this is like 3 BC, a soap opera. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, what? You know what I'm saying? All right, so now Demetrius is about to do something. So, wherefore, when Demetrius heard, he was very sorry and said, what have we done, that Alexander hath prevented us in making amity with the Jews to strengthen himself? I also will write unto them words of encouragement and promise them dignities and gifts, that I may have their aid. He sent unto them therefore to this effect, King Demetrius, unto the people of the Jews sendeth greetings. Whereas ye have kept covenants with us, and continued in our friendship, not joining yourselves with our enemies. You trying to be like, you ain't messing with Alexandria right now. You know what I'm saying? Good job. We have heard hereof, and are glad. We're glad you ain't messing with Alexandria. Wherefore now continue. But you gotta remember, Demetrius in the first part of the chapter, they were like afraid because they were very hard to the Hebrews, and they didn't want them to remember that. They was very hard. Crashing baby heads against the wall hard type stuff. Wherefore now continue ye still to be faithful unto us, and we will recompense you for the things ye do in our behalf, and we will grant you many immunities and give you rewards. And now do I free you, and for your sake I release all the Jews from the tributes and from the customs of salt and from the crown taxes. Just like they do in a perverted way nowadays. A lot of these churches with the 501(c)(3), hey man, as long as you do what I say, man, you ain't gotta pay the taxes. I ain't looking at your books. The church credit card at the strip club, I ain't worried about that, man. You know what I'm saying? Just you know what I'm saying, work with me and I'll give you special privileges. But this wasn't a perverted way. I'm saying now it's perverted, they look in their faces, they just like, no taxes, all the money's mine, But this whole taxes stuff, they go way back. They've been making these agreements. It's the same agreements over and over, just in different aspects. 30. And from that which appeareth unto me to receive for the third part of the seed and the half of the fruit of the trees, I release it from this day forth, so that they shall not be taken from the land of Judah, nor of nor of 3 governments which are aided thereunto, out the country of Samaria and Galilee, from this day forth for evermore, Let Jerusalem also be holy and free, with the borders thereof, both from tenth and tributes. And as for the tower which is at Jerusalem, I yield my authority over it, and give it to the high priest, that he may set in it much as he shall choose to keep it. Moreover, I freely set at liberty every one of the Jews that were carried captives out of the land of Judea into any part of the kingdom, and I will that all my officers remit the tributes even of their cattle. Furthermore, I will that all the feasts and the shabbats and new moons and solemn days and the 3 days before the feast and the 3 days before the feast and before the 3 days after the feast shall be all days of immunity. So if you're not understanding what this is saying, and freedom for all the Jews in my realm, meaning like these were like work off holidays, like how they have now, you don't got to go to work for July, 4th of July, Martin Luther King, Christmas. This was, hey man, we gonna make a decree. Y'all got holy days, holidays. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta come to work. If they mad at you, let them know it's a holy day. You know what I'm saying? We got you.
You understand, let them know too, brother, about when you got the decrees back in the day, when the king make a decree, you know what I'm saying, that's like writing through the whole provinces. Mm-hmm. That's because the king said. Mm-hmm. That means go through the whole provinces. That means it's law that Jews, that day off, you couldn't say nothing to them.
3 days before and after.
And after they think about it, and that's the king said that. Yeah. That's why y'all uses kings back in the day. That's why I expressed that a lot of times. Yahuwah used kings. Kings had authority. That's what their seals. Mm-hmm. That's why y'all use seal. You use to seal the king.
Mm-hmm. All right, and now 35. Also, no man shall have. So he's still talking, man. So also, no man shall have authority to meddle with thee, or to molest any of them in any matter. I will further. So man, you get a speeding ticket back there, man. Hey man, I'm on my 3-day vacation. Leave me alone. Get out. Get it. You know what I'm saying? You hitting corners in the wagon. They was like, for 3 days, for 6 days. Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Music for the citation. Leave me alone. I'm bumping my music, man.
They playing the flute back there.
All night long, 24 hours.
You got the king decree.
Man, you're making too much noise. Man, shut that. Nah, man. What the king
Under the king's order. So he keep going. Also, no man shall meddle. Oh, sorry, right there. 36. I will further that there be enrolled among the king's forces about 30,000 men of the Jews, unto whom pay shall be given. What they do now? Hey man, what's the holidays? Paid time off? So on your 6 days off, this is paid time off. This is what they getting all these laws and stuff that's in play here. These stuff is old, man. This stuff is way old. So not only are you, you got your decrees, hit the corners in the wagon, but you also getting paid on your 6 days off. So next week or whatever, you go pick up. That's what I'm saying, So when you go pick up your check next week, it's gonna be 6 days worth of pay. Okay, that's why I read this. I thought this was funny, but I'll go back to the tabernacle. I will further that the enrolled 37, and of them some shall be placed in the king's strongholds, for of whom also some shall be set over the affairs of the kingdom, which are of trust. And I will that their overseers and governors be of themselves, and that they live after their own laws, even as the king hath commanded in the land of Judea. And concerning the 3 governments, and are aided of Judah from the country of Samaria, let them be joined with Judah, that they may be reckoned to be under one, nor bound to obey other authority than the high priest. As for Pegan, and the land pertaining thereto, I give it as a free gift to the sanctuary of Jerusalem for the necessary expenses of the sanctuary. So then we're saying they take care of everything. They want you bad. They want you bad. To agree, Demetrius want him to agree with him very bad and give him a lot. Moreover, I will give every year 15,000 shekels of silver out of the king's accounts from the places appertaining, and all the overplus which the officers paid not in as in the former time, from henceforth shall be given towards the works of the temple. And besides this, the 5,000 shekels of silver which they took from the uses of the temple out of the accounts year by year, even those things shall be released, because they appertain to the priests that minister. And whosoever they be that flee unto the temple of Jerusalem, or be within the liberties thereof, being indebted unto the king, or for any other matter, let them be at liberty. So, if you're in debtor's prison at this time because you couldn't pay something, let them go. This is to the Jews. And all that they have in my realm, for the building also and repairing of the works of the sanctuary expenses shall be given of the king's accounts, yea, and for the building of the walls of Jerusalem, and fortifying therefore round about. And he wants the Hebrews to build their kingdom in his surroundings, because when you build something of Yah around something, Yah gonna be, Yah just ain't gonna let people mess around his stuff. So they know what they was doing. It's a power move. Expenses shall be given out of the king's accounts. Also, verse 46. Now Jonathan and the people heard these words. They gave no credit unto them, nor received them, because they remembered the great evil that he had done in Israel. And I always be talking about that too, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes, man, people just want justice. I don't want your money. I don't want nothing. I want justice, like Proverbs 7, Proverbs 6. If a man catch his wife with another man committing adultery, he don't want no money. He don't want to talk it out. He want justice. Just like in Revelations chapter 6, after the saints that came through the tribulations, when they died and went up in their reformed bodies, transformed bodies, one of the first things they asked Yah for, Yah, when we gonna get justice? I don't know. I love it here, but what about justice? So you know what I'm saying? That my point is saying that be careful what you do to people too, because sometimes there ain't nothing. That's just bad blood there. So, and the only thing is justice. And if you wrong them, that justice on your head. Okay, but now when Jonathan and the people heard these words, they gave no credit unto them, and we don't care, nor received them, because they remembered the great evil that he had done in Israel, for he had afflicted them very sore. And Israel, you got to do a lot to make Israel mad at you. You know what I'm saying? Israel was known for loving their oppressors. They missed Egypt. You got to be very harsh for Zion to be mad at you. Then gathered the king, verse 47. But with Alexander they were well pleased, because he was the first that entreated of true peace with them, and that were confederate with him always. Then gathered King Alexander great forces and encamped over against Demetrius. And after the two kings had joined battle, Demetrius had fled, but Alexander followed after him. And, he destroyed him. Read verse 50 of the last one. But he continued the battle very sore until the sun went down, and that day Demetrius was slain. But the point, and you got to remember, all this took place when they were trying to do the Feast of the Tabernacle. He got the money, he got the power right on time, because they was putting their foot to the plow and really seeking to do Yah will and keeping the high holy feast days, and at this point, the Feast of Tabernacle. But I just went to certain places. You know, it's a straightforward law. You know, you could just went to Leviticus, but you know, just to see, you know, from Esdras to Maccabees, how they had to fight to do it. And a lot of times now, and you know, that's when they had a sword to their head. You know, hey, you ain't keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. And now you just got a bean burrito to your head talking about, I ain't keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. You see how it is? You know? And you know, somebody got gonna be mad at, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you know, so my point is, you know, be sure to respect them, give them praise, and it's a joyous time, you know what I'm saying? Just know that Yah is very lively, and you can see about the musicians and the party and the food, but the main point is to give Yah great honor. But once that takes place, you know, the big portion about that, the big portion doing that is a party, you know. But you know, that's just a little lesson on the Feast of Tabernacles. And you still got a couple more days of it. All right, shalom.
Shalom. All right. Well said. Brother Fabian came with Feast of Tabernacle. So like I said, I remember last year we did kept it. We keep it still, and we had the booths. And I remember Elder Ishmael, he did a booth in your living room, remember? Last year. Yeah, I think he did 10. Like, Fabian did the same thing. We had it, so I'm glad we still keep it.
Still got time to do it.
Still got time, so we're doing it right now. And like I said, as you're giving your offerings, the same that's when you come to y'all with an offering. You know, then like I said, in your prayers, anything you ask in y'all, in your prayers, this is a time to pray before y'all. They may answer your prayer. This is the time, since we are keeping the Feast of Tabernacle. I want to read one more verse, and after that, we may bless y'all's people of TV land, and then we continue on with service. Let's go to Zechariah, I think it's chapter 14. Try to find it real quick, if I could find it. Okay, chapter 14. Verse 16. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Elohim of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. Now this is in the millennium. This is the new millennium. This is when Yahushua comes. And it shall be, verse 17, that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Elohim of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Nazarene go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plagues wherewith Elohim will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Nazarene and the punishment of all the nations that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. In that day shall there be upon the bells of the horses holiness unto Elohim, and the pots in the Elohim's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. Yea, every part of Jerusalem and Judah shall be holiness unto Elohim of hosts. And all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them and see it therein. And that day there shall be no more the Canaanites in the house of Elohim. Hallelujah. Again, another feast day that is mandatory. I can say it's mandatory. That's why I share with you again. If they're doing the feast days during Yisrael and Jerusalem, and the Jews were doing it back in the day, and then when Yahushua came, he kept the feast days, the Feast of Tabernacles. Now Yahushua's gone. Then they're going to start keeping the feast days. And then after when Yahushua comes back for the millenniums, they're going to kick it back off. What's up with the gap? There ain't no gap.
It's that bean burrito, man.
He said the bean burrito. You know, that went over my head. I don't understand that one.
They chose slawfulness.
They chose the pork.
Yes. Pork burrito.
They chose the pork. You know, the abomination to Yah. That's what I've been thinking about. What's abomination stays abomination. And they said, well, we pray over it now, and now it's no more curse. That's what they say. But what's abomination to Yah is abomination. What I was saying about the tabernacles here, the feast of time, which we are keeping right now, and we did in tomorrow, and Brother Fabian, let me know when the last day, I guess the last day of the tabernacle, we will take Yahuwah's supper. That's what we do. That's the sacrifice. Yahusha is a sacrifice. And that's what we're going to do here. All right? So tomorrow, let us know that so we all can be together in unity. One accord and one mind. All right? Where to go? I like that way how you use Ezra and the Maccabees. I like how you use the kings. Again, I stress that again. And y'all's been dealing with this about kings. You brought it out today, which y'all dealing with about 3 or 4 days ago. That's why I know we want to accord in one mind in Yahusha. Because y'all's telling me again, where was the king that changes Aiso to Jesus? Who gave that authority? Well, who was the king that gave the authority to change Yahusha to Yeshua? To Yeshua to Aisos. To Aisos to Jesus. I want to know the assembly and the king to authorize that. Remember, y'all uses king. Y'all don't see the king. You see King Arturus. You see King Darius to build the temple. Y'all see all these kings. All right? The king, what's his name? Alexander. King. For Jonathan at that time. Yahuwah used kings. And they write decrees. When they write decrees, it's an oath. It's a law in the land. Just like we got law now, Yesarel, Zion. We're the 13th Amendment. We are free now. You know, we're still like slaves, but we are free now to vote and you know, do things now in the land. And then they bring the Jim Crow law. Now we got the 13th Amendment. You know, they bring these laws now that we may be free to do things, just like back in the day. But y'all uses kings. That's why I want to say. That's what y'all's been dealing with me this week again. Tell me the authorization